Flashpoint Beyond issue 3, Jeff Johns with Jeremy Adams and Tim Sheridan writing, with Zermanico and Mikkel Janin on the art.
I have no idea what's going on in this book. I mean, I do, but I don't.
I'll say this. This is the first issue of this book where the first page didn't scare me away almost because there was too many narration boxes.
Yeah. So I class this book as okay. Like, I'm just reading the stuff and going, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't like that Superman talks like Cass. Very short, to the point. Like, good on the writers.
No, that makes sense though in this Superman.
Yeah, I know, but it's I don't know. It's weird, I guess. But that's this whole book.
He's been locked in a room with no humans to talk to for most of his life. It makes complete sense that he's got a stilted conversation style.
Yeah, but not exactly Cass. Like, it just felt very much like they just took Cass's style of speaking and put it onto Superman. You know? I don't know.
Well, what else do you like? How else do you do it and make it distinct from Cass?
I don't know. I'm realizing as I'm talking, I have no counter to it. I just, as a Superman fan, it rubbed me a little bit wrong. So,
okay. Well, yeah. So it starts off kind of with the history of the Superman of the Flashpoint universe, and it's when he landed, he came down with a meteor shower, but it was in Metropolis, so it killed thousands of people. So it was a much darker thing by comparison. So that sets up some stuff for later in the issue. Penguin's teaching Dexter Dent to how to pick a lock, seemingly, and then when they get a quick glimpse of Reverse Flash just try to communicate with people, Penguin says, "I need a drink. Do you want one?" Just to continue this running joke of like Dexter Dent being taught and given things for adults that he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But
the lock picking and him telling him, "Good job, we're gonna move to tumblers," which is like the twisty locks. That was so funny to me. I don't know why, but it's just this Cobblepot is very funny.
Yeah, it was giving me a chuckle as well. So I've got obviously Superman showed up right at the end of the last issue, so he's with Dr. Batman, and he scares off the thug, and Batman tries to punch him. Obviously, it doesn't work. He just gets a broken hand, basically, and
a concussion.
Yeah, Superman knocks him out and flies him off elsewhere. Whilst Dexter's mum, Gilda Dent, is all bandaged up because she's rammed her head into the door or something in the asylum
so many times, and they have to strap her down so she doesn't keep doing it to the other side of her face, which, giving us a cool Gilda Dent Two-Face story.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to take off the bandage at some point and she's going to have a Two-Face. Yeah, it makes sense.
The fact that some darkness is talking to her, right, is the one tie that we have into the Dark Crisis, ongoings here, right?
No, I wouldn't agree with that because the font and the word bullet style is very different to the darkness in that book. Because this is white with an orange glow, whereas that's always been black with white text. So
that's true.
I don't think it's meant to be connecting them together. I think this is just...
So then she is hearing voices from somewhere.
Yeah, right? Whether or not it's in her head or this is just something separate that's talking to her in this universe. I would say.
And that hyper time is key because that gets brought up like 2 or 3 times through these different dialogues.
So Superman took Batman away to what his fortress currently is. He built a fortress with Swamp Thing, who's not Alec Holland.
No,
it's what would you call him?
Jason Woodrue.
Woodrue, yeah. Woodrue, Swamp Thing, Poison Ivy's there, and they've built like a fortress where all the crystals are covered in green. So you get this kind of a greenery Fortress of Solitude style thing, but it's become this haven. He's basically brought a lot of children and stuff who don't have anyone here as a sort of a big kind of fancy orphanage.
Yeah, like the ruins of Metropolis have become overgrown, and now, I did like that visual. He's made it a place of safety.
It's an interesting concept. It's at this point where interest is this big thing where it's like, hey, like they're here to show they brought Batman here to show him basically one of the messages from Jor-El, right? So the idea that there was these crystals. And because everything's going through the green here, it sort of appears through like veins and stuff. But it's the same idea. It's like a hologram style thing of Jor-El saying, "You're my son. I've sent you here. You're stronger." Blah 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 blah. But the big thing it reveals is different. Is that Krypton is dying? It's not actually dead yet, And Jor-El's like, you were sent to sort of prep the humans and sort of, incapacitate them a bit so that when we come in to invade and take over, so it's our planet now, we're all ready.
That's very similar to another comic book property that I don't want to spoil in case people haven't seen it or read it. But something very similar, if you know what I'm talking about, which cracked me up. That was another thing that I went, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think, like one of the things that I liked about one of the plot pieces I liked about Flashpoint originally was the idea that this Superman, despite his upbringing, despite everything they did to him, he did still show up to help save the day at the end.
Yeah.
So they kind of try to continue that here a little bit with him immediately going, yeah, we need to stop them. Like, we need to be ready for this invasion. He's going to fight inside of Earth, and he's going to take on Jor-El.
Which we did notice. I'm glad it paid off in this issue, because I did notice other ships that when you see the baby Kal-El ship in the beginning, like you see other ships getting off of the planet too.
Yeah, Jor-El says they went to other planets to find potential homes. So, but Earth is probably the one they like because they'll get superpowers if they come to Earth.
Right.
So, yeah, Thomas is wanting nothing to do with all this though, because to him it's like, because he says, "Wait, why are you doing this? This is your father who wants to give you everything you ever should have had, and why are you trying to stop him?" And he says, "Because all these people, like humans, their lives matter." And this is challenging directly Thomas, because Thomas's whole thing in this story is that this world's not supposed to exist. So to him, now the lives matter, because everything should be about resetting it to the proper timeline so that Bruce is Batman again, and we have the world that we're supposed to have. So I do kind of appreciate. I thought that was a nice narrative touch. That it's like this is directly paralleling like how he sees the world right now. That he's saying no, the lives here don't matter, and it's not this cruel thing necessarily. Like, he has context for why he believes that, but it is kind of interesting to have this version of Superman kind of saying no, they do still matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, this universe shouldn't exist. Isn't mean that it doesn't matter. Right, and that's what I feel like Dr. Batman has to learn. So
I'll give it credit. I thought that little narrative point there, where he says that, I thought was quite good and did sort of raise some interesting questions. Meanwhile, a dead body was found. They mention it's the home of Iris and her husband. They don't say Barry. They just say her husband. So I wonder if there's like a swerve coming there. But
because they weren't together, were they?
No, they weren't. Yeah, because obviously Barry. Yeah, that's good point. Yeah, Barry was.
Well, once there's something I want to point out, and I might just be thinking too much about all of this. But let's get to the end of this, and then I'll bring that up. So
we find out who they're looking at this crime scene. It's Bullock and I assume I don't actually know who the female cop is. But it turns out it's actually a Thawne, Reverse Flash. It says they say Tick. It's written in blood, Tick, next to his dead body on the bed. And he came here because he was looking for Barry. It makes sense that he'd come to Iris's house to do that. Right. And it's it's like, okay, so this is back to the hyper time stuff. So the last couple pages, as it has been throughout the book, is going back to like separately from the Flashpoint universe. Although this time, instead of going to the Batcave where Batman is with the little kid, here we have a couple of the other characters who are in a time bubble going through hyper time and saying that it won't hold very soon. There's a crisis coming. And all these changes, and they specifically say that Thomas shouldn't exist, and that's what they're trying to fix. But they're struggling, and they need Rip Hunter. So,
and something about Corky, who I think is the kid with the raccoon hat.
I imagine so.
Yeah, something about he's going off the rails a little bit, and that's why they need Rip. Because Corky plays around too much. And I thought that was not being familiar with these characters at all. That was a nice touch too. That maybe him talking to Batman is one of these things, that he goes too far. But yeah,
I did. It says Nick's Dexter dead, Robin the Boy Terror. That is kind of funny, given they've built him up enough that he's learning all these awful skills that it's actually quite funny to think that we're going to get this evil little Robin.
Yeah, but the Boy Terror. That's so funny.
It's good stuff. I mean, this is still going off in wacky directions I didn't see coming. Like, we're basically like, because the art's called The Clockwork Killer, if I remember right. And maybe it's implying that that's also the same killer of Thawne, and that ties into the other murders that were in the other issues. But it feels like Oh, now we're talking about like Kryptonians invading and like building an army to like take them on and things. I was like, oh, where's this going? Like we're doing all these wild things. I can't deny though that I like some of the details in this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I said it's okay. Just go along with what the story that's being told, and I love when Ivy shows up and she's an emissary for the Earth, right? Like I do like that version of her because she talks about how Thomas killed her, but now she's an avatar for the Green, and it seems like Woodrew's like the Parliament now as the Swamp Thing, right? Like the Green kind of flows through him, but she works with it. So I like that too, and I like that's her helping Superman rebuild Metropolis as this fortress of solitude. I like that whole aspect of it. That was a fun twist.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe we're going to find out that this hyper time killer or whatever it is just a Clockwork Killer, and all these murders are related. But
yeah,
it's doing some interesting things. I won't necessarily say it's good. It still feels like a weird thing that I don't know if it needs to exist. But
yeah,
I'm kind of into the insanity of it at this point.
Yeah, that's where I am too. So Flashpoint exists because Barry went back to save his mom, right? From Thawne. And so I understand how it creates ripples in the time stream. So you're telling me that because Barry went back and saved the mom, Jor-El became a conqueror? Those seem like two separate things, and I know I am thinking about this way too much.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense that like if that's the butterfly effect moment, like why does that? Especially since when you think about their ages, like Barry's mom's death had to be not that much. If anything, it was maybe after Clark was launched from Krypton.
Right, because he was a little kid, right?
Which maybe suggests that this idea is actually false, and like we're going to find out that no, the Flashpoint universe is just a separate universe that always existed, and Barry just went to it when he changed things.
That could be too. That would be a nice change, but just trying to think about the original inciting incident, like it makes sense where Thomas becomes Batman because he saw his son die. I mean, that makes sense with the ripple that would have been created. That's up there with Superboy Prime punching reality and creating changes, in Infinite Crisis. But some of these other ones, the Superman one really, really stuck because it's so far away. And, his ship not landing in Smallville, I buy as part of those ripples, but the Jor-El being a conqueror and sending that's too much of a different universe type vibe, But again, I'm just thinking about it probably way too much because it didn't get in the way of me enjoying the rest of the story for as crazy as it's getting. So,
nah, we might be honest something here. They might reveal that Flashpoint universe isn't exactly what we thought it was. But if it isn't what we thought it was, then it kind of begs the question: then why did it turn into the New 52 at the end when things, like I don't know, very weird.
Because of Pandora that never ever resolved.
Yes, Pandora and her stupid box. Yeah. All right, what are you giving Flashpoint Beyond issue 3?
I'm giving this a 7.
Yeah, honestly, so am I. Yeah. There was enough weird, wacky stuff in it that I'm getting. And Dexter Dent's like my new favorite running gag in comics.
Yeah, right. So, I can't wait for him to make his main continuity debut somehow. I
mean, that'd be hard to sort of work. You'd have to find out he had a secret son this whole time.
Yeah. How do we know that Dent didn't have a kid that when he got shipped off to boarding school?
Sure, whatever. Yeah. Dexter Dent, why not?